Hey guys, Brian delivers you the goods here. I'm returning to you for another album review, and sorry that it took so long for this next review that just recently came out for the new From Ashes to New album review. I hope you enjoyed it. This one may take a little bit because of the Wi-Fi speed. Like I said, Wi-Fi speed's been iffy. It took a few hours to get that first video for you guys today uploaded. But still, I'm returning to you for the next album review for Sevendust's new album. This is for Truth Killer, that I finally got a chance to listen to, and the album we've all been waiting for the past few months and all that, since April, because Fence was the first single that came out for this album to announce this album's announcement. So, I'm going to discuss what I listened to for all 12 songs for the new Sevendust album, Truth Killer, and let you know my thoughts on this album. So, let's dive into this album review. Now, it starts with the opening track, I Might Let the Devil. I wasn't really that interested with this song. I think it's decent because LeJohn's vocals is not too bad. It's just so mellow and just not a good opening track to start the album. It's just decent opening song, but it's not my favorite. It's one of the weakest songs for this album, to be quite honest. So 4 out of 5 for I Might Let the Devil Win. I mean, LeJohn's vocals is fine. It's just the melody doesn't really interest me. It just makes me go in a snooze fest, kind of. So 4 out of 5. Not to say I hate it. I just think it could have used a lot more drum work and instrumentals, and maybe be a little more heavier to start the album. A little. Not too heavy, but just normal enough to have a good opening song. Truth Killer, the title track, is really good. Really like this. LeJohn's aggressive vocals and his clean vocals sound really good in this song. I'm really digging this track, so 5 out of 5. It sounds good instrumentally, guitar-wise, and drum are really amazing, and LeJohn's vocals are quite amazing. Won't Stop the Bleeding is another great track. Really like this one. It's pretty aggressive with the instrumentals and just LeJohn's vocals, in my opinion. I just got finished with the album just momentarily, just so you know. But yeah, 5 out of 5 for Won't Stop the Bleeding. I really think it's a pretty rockin' song. Everything was the second single we got for this album. It came out a month after, or maybe a few weeks after Fence came out. But honestly, this wasn't. I mean, it had the aggressive tone in it, and I really liked the instrumentation in it. That's the highlight for this song. Just when the basic verses sound and just the chorus doesn't really strike me as good, to be honest. I mean, it's alright. It's an alright track, but just not something I'm gonna really remember too much. But it's a solid Sevendust song. So 4.5 out of 5. No Revolution is a strong track. Really like this one, and really dig this one with how it sounds overall. LeJohn's vocals are great in it, and the chorus is great. The verses are pretty strong too, so that's what really hooked me to this track. So 5 out of 5. Sick Mouth was a really good one, in my opinion. Definitely rocks for sure, and I really like this track. 5 out of 5. The vocals are pretty good from LeJohn, and the drum work and guitar work is pretty excellent with how it's sounding. It has some pretty fast-paced drum work too. Then comes Holy Water, the third single we got for this album, like I think about a month ago or something like that. Maybe a few weeks ago. I can't remember, to be honest. I think it was a few weeks ago. But I really like this song. One of my favorite songs for this album, to be honest. I really dig how LeJohn's singing the track, and the pre-chorus is great. The verses are pretty strong. I mean, it has some electronic work and some of the EDM kind of stuff work, but I think it works to a degree. The drum work is great, and the guitar work is what really hooked me. I was just like bobbing my head a lot, going like kind of that pretty much. But it was a really rockin' track, so highly recommend you check this single out for Holy Water. 5 out of 5. Leave Hell Behind was pretty rockin' track. Kind of tempo and just hard rock mostly, but I think it works with how it's sounding overall, with just LaJohn singing it, and just instrumentation performed pretty excellent. So 5 out of 5. Superficial Drug was the last single we got. It came out a few days ago on the 25th of July. I'm recording this on the 27th, just so you know, because I did finish listening to this whole album. And yeah, pretty much Superficial Drug, solid track. Just the drum work is the highlight for this track, and some of the mixing is pretty strong in its own way. But it's just some of the melody kind of has its hits and misses with how it's sounding. It's mostly LaJohn's vocals is fine in this. It's pretty good, but there are some slight mixing issues. I mean, not terrible mixing issues, but it's something. So 4.5 out of 5.
Good track.
I don't think it's going to be one of my highlights for this album. Messenger was pretty good. Really like this track. 5 out of 5. I like how it's sounding overall with LaJohn singing the chorus, and the drum work and guitar work's pretty good in its own way. So 5 out of 5. Love and Hate is a pretty rockin' track. It's the second to last song before we get to the final song, which I think you know what the final song is. And I mentioned it earlier in this review. 5 out of 5 for Love and Hate. I really like even the outro to the track. I wish it would have led into the next song, Fence, but it's fine. It did pretty good for what it went for, so 5 out of 5. Then comes the final track, also was the first single for this album, Fence. Great song. Really like this one. It definitely rocks for sure. I really love this track so much. I keep listening to it quite a bit. I listened to this, Holy Water. Those were my two favorite singles from this album. The other two singles were fine, but not anything mind-blowingly amazing. So 5 out of 5 for Fence. Great closing track to end the album. Overall, production, mixing, and execution-wise, I think Truth Killer by Sevendust is good in its own way. It's a good album. Just the first song really disappointed me a bit. I didn't like the opening track to the album. I mean, it was decent, but nothing that's going to blow me away to where I'm going to really like it. But there were only 3 songs I had issues with, which was I Might Let the Devil Win, Everything, and Superficial Drug. They weren't terrible tracks, but they were decent to alright. They were pretty much the weakest ones for this album that kind of brought the rating down. Mostly I Might Let the Devil Win kind of brought the rating down a bit. And I would have put this on my best albums, but I don't think it has a place for it, unfortunately. So pretty much for an overall score, I like every other track. 9 out of 12 songs are great. Don't get me wrong, they are great. Just those 3 songs I have issues with. Not 2 of the songs I don't have too much of issues with, which were singles, but the first song I do. So I'm going to give Sevendust Truth Killer for their newest album an 8 out of 10.
It's a good album.
Definitely check this album out. It's not terrible. It's a good album in its own way. I personally think that, but that's my opinion. And maybe someone else who listens to it might have a different opinion, and that's fine. I just had an issue with the first song. I just wasn't really interested in the first song. It kind of was a skippable track. Not the worst track, I'm just not really feeling for it too much. So 8 out of 10 for Sevendust Truth Killer, newest album. Thank you guys for watching.